Good afternoon, everybody. I wanted to talk today about reciting the possibilities of success and preservation. We as a people have to learn individually that it's self accountability that takes us to where we want to go as far as our dreams and our aspirations. And it's us that gets in our own way of being able to do so. Either it's voluntary or involuntary, depending what your story is. And some people have more tragic stories than others, and they get caught up in the story of what happened instead of progressing the story of what could be. Because we're sitting in our conscious self, being able to ponder on possibilities that are endless, saying shoulda, coulda, woulda, instead of saying that I can. And living in the mindset that I can do it, it helps you progress the story because you put action to the I can do it, and it motivates you to be a better you. And when you put self accountability as the basis of being able to self analyze yourself, you'll be able to see the areas where you need to work on to get to where you want to be and where you can be. Having the can be mindset. So, sitting in the endless possibilities, you're pondering on what dreams you can grasp, what success you can grasp, what marriage you can grasp, what family you can grasp, what world you can grasp. As long as you're taking the steps to grasp it, you will find that there was also treasures in the journey. As you are building yourself, you're finding that you do have worth, you do have high self esteem, you do have the capability of getting what you want because you've built the places and areas in your life that were staggering because you had the wrong mindset or intellect of being feeling not good enough to get to that place. And once you find that that's what you've been reiterating in your life, that I can't do it, you're putting I can't do in places that you can do it. So if you get married and you feel like you can't do it, you put a can't do in something that can be, which you don't realize sometimes because you're not analyzing yourself. You're unaware of yourself and pushing that I can't do to your partner, you making them feel like well, is this worth it? So now they're wondering if they can do it or cannot do it based on yourself. So it's always about self, even if it's a marriage. And if it's a business, even in a business, being a boss, you have to be able to self analyze yourself. So being able to look at areas in self, you'll be able to look at areas in your situation and in your personal goals and where you need to place I can in your goal so your goal can manifest itself. So, knowing that you're in a different mindset of can and can't do, you have to look at your perception of your life. If it's negative or positive, being negative all the time, you're only going to get negative feedback. And when you're positive all the time, life is not where we plan it to be. But having the can do pushes you past the things that life puts on you or that life brings. It helps you fight the struggles of life where you feel like you can't. You always have the mindset of can, which helps you get past that time or situation where you feel like you can't. So it built that can do attitude, knowing that you passed through a level that you thought you weren't going to pass, or like your education, for example. You said probably wouldn't pass that semester or next semester or even graduate, but you had the can do throughout your whole semester, your whole time being in community college or university. You found that you've built areas in your life that you could stand on, being able to triumph over circumstances that you thought were in your way. It was only a thought that you felt like you couldn't get past. It was your emotions that were amplifying that thought of can or can't do, being having the negative thought process. Your emotions is amplifying that thought because having a thought that I can't do, you will feel like you are not worthy and you feel depressed and you feel like you have anxiety because you feel like you don't know what the future is going to bring, if I'm going to pass this class or if I'm going to graduate or if I'm going to be out on the streets fending for myself because I felt like I could not recite past my education or recite past my business or recite past the things that I felt like was holding me back in those areas. And those having the can do and cannot mind process, it affects every area of your life. And as an individual, it starts off with family, and it goes to education, and it goes to your career, and then it goes to your marriage, and then it goes to your parenting. And if you feel like you can't do any of it, then you need to sit down and find out what is it that you're articulating as the reason or excuse that you can't do it. Is you can do it. You just have to find the resources and the capability within yourself to get to that point. It's the I can't give up mindset that you have to have, because you can do it. So the message I've been sending out through Vision of Peace is having self accountability for the time you have here, and it starts with self and the base in your basic needs, as far as to being able to take care of yourself, standing up on your own 2 feet. Once you able to walk and talk and learn your surroundings and learn your environments, because once we get more free will, we're haggling and hassling. We're trading time for free will, even if it's dysfunctional. If you traded time for a dysfunctional decision, then you've wasted that time making a decision that you're going to have to reiterate and bring it back a few notches to see why you made that decision, then correct that decision, then move on from that decision by forgiving yourself, knowing God already forgave you. And if you had another person involved in that situation, you ask for forgiveness, or you have sometimes have to forgive a person that never apologized to you. So sometimes you got to get over things that are never going to happen. And and knowing that, you know that you're strong enough to move on in your life in areas that you thought you couldn't move over, because you're stuck on a person or you're stuck on a situation because you feel like you deserve something out of it, when you have the only person that you owe is yourself, because it is your time that you're trying to preserve. Nobody owes you time, because time was already given to you. So you're just going to have to grow up and get over it. That's why it's self mastery. You have to master your own emotion and master your maturity growth. And that's why you have to self analyze yourself to know where you're at in your maturity level. And once you get past that level, you notice you've grown. And once you've grown, things don't really bother you that much or move you that much, because you know it was only God who could move you to that next level, because he gave you the strength to forgive or to move on or to articulate the thing that you need or you were praying for to move to that level that you're desiring. As far as family, we all have misunderstandings, and we all have things we try to cover, or things we're trying to present, or things we're trying to do, and we all have time that is kind of intertwined with each other, because we're family. We want to support each other, and when we feel like we're not getting that support from family, we feel like we don't have nobody to have our back, not knowing that it was you who had to have your back, because you know God always has your back. And if somebody can't be there, that's not a reason to have strife or pain in your heart. It was just something that wasn't done at that point. It would have helped for them to have that support, because we all love to have support from each other, especially from family, because they're blood. But sometimes we're not always fortunate enough to have uh, that experience in our life, to have a family. And sometimes we break off from that situation to create family, our own family. But if you're not healed from that previous family, you're not going to know what it takes to actually raise a family of your own, because you still have issues from the previous one that you haven't healed from yet. So you have to analyze yourself to see what areas in your life that are affecting other areas in your life, because it's actually a triple effect. If you're not getting love in one area, or you haven't learned a lesson in that situation that you were supposed to learn, that was actually a lesson of love, and you bring that dysfunctional mindset to the next relationship, then you're still making the same delusional decisions that you were making in the previous relationship to the next relationship, because you have not self-analyzed that was not a normal decision to make in that previous relationship. So you're making dysfunctional decisions out of ignorance. So you have to be able to hear yourself sound stupid to be able to move out of the stupidity, because it's okay to not sound like you got it all together all the time. If you have to break it down to yourself, where you find where you found stupid, and to find the the parts that you did get right, you keep the parts that you got right and switch over the dysfunctional decisions that you've made and make them right. Because when you're working with God and walking with God consciously, His no is your no, and His yes is your yes, because He's guiding you the right way. Whatever He gives you is right. His no is right. His yes is right. So I want to be right. And when I make that decision to be right and make that self accountability for the time to be right, then I will find that my decisions are coming into alignment of and manifesting my dream and my desire to be successful, because I'm living a right life and I'm not getting back negativity from decisions that I've made. I'm just handling life as it comes along while being prepared for anything that comes along. So I'm building an empire that can handle situations that I'll be able to address with the right mindset. So being able to have the mindset of self-preservation, I'm always thinking of ways to preserve myself while gaining knowledge to preserve others, because eventually I'm going to meet other people who have the same or similar situations that I've been through, but that I've surpassed because I've wanted to live right and learn my lessons the right way. And if I fail, I learned how to get back up. So if I meet somebody else, I can pass on the knowledge to them. And that's how you become the guide to the light that preserves us, which is in our innocence, which is why Jesus had to come down and die for our shame, because it was shame that was covering the innocence which we were taking our intellect from to preserve us. It was our innocence that preserved us, because it always kept us thinking, how do I preserve this thing that's always been keeping me in a place where I felt like anything was possible. As a kid, we tend to forget that was the mindset we had, because we were structured in a system that was painting materialistic things as the vision of success, when it was life that was to live life abundantly was the picture of success. But you can't get your perceptions mixed up, because then your decisions will get mixed up, which means your life will get mixed up. So you have to put your life in perspective, and if you don't, you're gonna find yourself keep falling over the same decisions, not hearing yourself sound stupid, but everybody around you is listening to you. So you have to be able to listen to yourself before you present yourself. That means you're working on yourself, which is a good thing. So you shouldn't be ashamed on the steps you've taken or the progress you've made, knowing that you are taking accountability for the decisions that you've made. So this is a message where you reflect on yourself to see if you're reflecting God. And if you're not reflecting God, then you have to ask yourself, what am I reflecting? Am I reflecting things that I've made up, or am I reflecting things that people projected on me, and I'm not living my life to the fullest because I was trying to live a life that somebody else was trying to give me, even though I don't feel happy and I didn't go after the dreams I wanted. So I didn't take accountability for my time to pursue things that were actually pulling at my heart, which could help somebody else. Becoming a resource and an instrument of God, as He pulls His seeds out of you and His harvest out of you. He's pulling things that He's placed in you to help you harvest your dream, as you're helping harvest His. As He projected heaven, we have to project His echo of heaven, which it ties into our dream, because we're here to service others. That's what it means to have the conscious Christ consciousness, is being able to serve others as God serves us, as He is our God, and He had the integrity to guide us through our life, as He's showing us our why. As we look for a purpose, we're looking at our why as, why am I here? Why do I exist? Why do I look the way I look? Why do I walk the way I walk? Why do I talk the way I talk? It's because He made you unique, so He can be able to pull that dream out of you, because you're the only one who could do it, because you're the only you. That's why it's self accountability, because you have to self-analyze yourself to make sure you're getting the answers you need to be able to see yourself in a clear view. It was the you with the crown that was the real you. It was the you that He projected with the golden heart, that you feel like you weren't able to project to someone else because you feel like you were hurt, and you feel like you couldn't or wasn't worthy of giving that part of you, because you feel like you had to protect yourself, which is understandable. But you have to be able to open up to love, so He can pour into you, so you can be able to give out love. So you are never without love. because he's always giving, always giving. That's all he does is give. And if you're not always giving from that place, then you have to ask yourself, what am I giving? And if I have to ask, what am I giving? I'm probably sure that I'm not realizing that I'm making decisions from a place that is innocent because I'm not paying attention to what I'm giving out and what I'm taking in. I have to analyze what I'm taking in, and I have to analyze what I'm giving out so I can manifest what I really want. And if I'm not really mindful of what I'm giving out and giving in, I'm just winging it. And I don't want to wing it because I want to grow. And I want to grow because I want to progress. And I want to progress because I want to see who I really am in this existence before I leave this earth, which means I took accountability for the time I was here and not just winging it and saying whatever is presented to me, that's all I'm going to let it be without pondering on what I can make it to be. Because we were made creators. As God is the ultimate creator, helped he also built us to create from things like our dreams, or for things that for survival. And it's a journey, and I, for one, know the journey of self discovery. I'm still walking it myself. I'm only 30 years old, and I've been putting the puzzle pieces of reality together throughout my life to get to the point of why am I here. And he showed me through my walk that I was able to create out of a place where I can help others get out of situations where I saw red flags, and I tried my best to articulate the possibilities of where that situation would be without being judgmental, because I have no right to be judgmental. I never felt like I did, because I feel like it blinds you to who that person really is, and they could be a really good person, but I'm just judging that one part of you, not knowing who you really are. So I really can't see who you really are because I'm only going off my perception, which is not fair to you because you want to be seen as a human being, and we all have a right to be seen on to be seen as who we are. But enable for me to be able to allow you to see me, I will have to be my full self around you, and I will have to be able to articulate my do's and my don'ts as Tim. And if you can't respect that, then that should be it. If you can't respect it, then we should talk to each other, and that we should be adult enough not to turn it into something that it's not, just because we want our ego to be shown. And that's not really the goal of life. To protect our ego, our goal is to protect what God created, which writes your story into His, and He will protect your vision as you protect His, and you become business partners. So He took accountability for His creation by guiding us, because He knew we were going to ask the question, why am I here? Because He was the one who created us, so that was a given. So He took accountability for creating our resources, as well as creating a resource to find out who we are as we walk through this life. So it is up to you whether you want to figure out who you are. It's not my responsibility. So it's called self accountability. And if I can't explain who I am to you, then I'm pretty sure I'm not taking the time out to find out who I am. And it is important to find out who you are, so you be able to have the relationships and the success and the dreams, and it does come with material things, but you didn't put it in a perspective that material things was the only way, or the only vision of success, because it was just something to make us look flashy and to make us look cool. And we live in the 21st century, so it's actually normal. We just gotta have the right perspective that it was not materials over people. It is people with materials, which we create resources to help each other prosper in the heaven that He projected when He first said, "Let there be." So, as I project this message, I hope that it helps somebody take accountability and look in the mirror, which is in your heart, because your heart tells all. And it helps you put your thoughts in perspective. And once you have your thoughts in perspective, you can have your decisions in perspective, which means your life is in a good perspective emotionally, mentally, and physically. And taking self-analyzation, you'll be able to pinpoint the things that you need and the things that other people need and the things that the future needs, as we also have to echo to the future that it is our innocence we always have to keep, so we won't go back into areas that were depleting us and dividing us as a whole. So we also have to self-analyze ourselves as a whole, so we won't go towards depletion on things that were all only a misunderstanding. It was actually room for us to sit together and ponder on things that preserves us as we are sitting together as one. So, in that, I hope it helps somebody look at them, at their life in a different perspective, as marriage, as a parent, and as just an individual trying to live this life the best way they know how. And we all have our struggles, but it's up to us on how we handle that struggle and how we put that struggle in perspective, and we put it into a message, and we put it into a nonprofit, and we get the message out there, and we help other people in the same situation. So I hope you have a good day, and I hope you recite your days with grace, because that's what's bringing us forward. We have grace to live another day. Your heart's still beating. So have a good day. Put your life in a good, positive perspective, and I'll talk to you later.